All right, welcome into this week at Gridiron Icon. I am joined by my partner in crime, the iconic number 88, Mr. Preston Denard. How are you, my friend?
I am doing outstanding. I hope I sound good to you guys. I've got to figure out this mic deal, but we're so excited to have our special guest this evening.
I'm very excited. Folks, listen, this is podcasting, and Mr. Denard is always on the road moving around, but it doesn't stop us from bringing you the quality of our guests,
Yes.
which we're excited about. And this one in particular, our guest this week, I really get excited about the defensive backs, folks. But this guy's well-rounded. Just don't go across the middle on him. A former All-State tennis champion, All-State track champion, the New Jersey Boys State Leadership Representative from Leonia High School, Warren Award winner for school's best athlete, and selected to the All-Century football team by the Bergen Record newspaper. Our guest was undrafted as a running back from Division II Delaware. He was a co-captain of those epic 1981 and 1982 Los Angeles Rams. He is a member of the University of Delaware Sports Hall of Fame. And if you haven't figured it out yet, he is the great, the iconic Mr. Ivory Sully.
Very much. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, sir.
I'm so glad to have you. Yeah, man. This is going to be a good show. I'm excited about it. Stacy, I'm not going to start this thing out, but I do want to interject this. And Ivory will remember this.
Oh.
I've always referenced it. And if you want to know why, I'll explain it. But I'm going to let you lead this thing out. But here we go. Here's the kicker. My friend has always been known to me as Skull Buzz. Now there,
What?
yeah, Skull. Now is that unique?
That's
now,
an awesome nickname.
Oh, it's well. Let me tell you this. He's already shown and displayed half of that. So Skull represents. I've always thought Ivory was a very intelligent ball player. He was just sharp, of course, where he comes from. I've always enjoyed University of Delaware, and I had no idea I'd be playing with a guy like this from there. So he's very, very cerebral. And the other is Buzz. He'll come up and knock your behind out. So I nicknamed him Skull Buzz.
Hey, Preston, that is, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. We finally got it together.
Yes.
Where I can come on and be with you guys and actually share some of myself with you. I have to be honest with you. I've forgotten that was pretty impressive, that person that you described in the introduction. And I'm just very humbled that I was able to be that and do that and be involved with all of that. But the great thing about this is that I've been around quality people to help me take the stage. I have to tell you, Preston Denard was one of the reasons why I was able to make the team at defensive back. I was a running back when I came into the league, okay? And my position was changed the first day of training camp. Our coach, Ray Malavasi, changed my position because we had great running backs. We had Lawrence McCutcheon. We had, Preston, you can name the list.
Oh, yeah. Wendell Tyler, Cullen Bryant, all those guys.
All of them, And I guess what they didn't need was another running back. And so they just decided to, kind of tell me, Ivory, we're going to move you to defensive back. So I went back to my room. This is the first day of training camp. I went back to my room. I cried my butt off for about a half hour. I was pissed. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, the light that was on the light that started that fire was that day. And Preston, that's why I would rather knock somebody out than show my emotions.
That is incredible. Rams fans.
That's how I got known to be who I am.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. This is three guys talking. We just jump in. Listen, Rams fans will remember that you were a hitter. I've kind of go through my mental list of hitters in Rams history as a lifelong Rams fan, and I think of yourself. I think of Toby Wright. I think of some of these guys that just laid the lumber from the defensive backfield. You were one of those dudes. But I have to confess, I did not know that even undrafted, you came into the Rams as a running back.
That's right. So
wow.
I had to employ some of that, what some people might call intelligence. I was just lucky to be there, quite frankly. I was going to do anything that I had to do to make that club. And I'll tell you, I didn't. So Preston was one of the guys that got me to make sure that I made it. Okay, so who your receivers coach, our receivers coach,
Lionel Taylor.
Lionel
Taylor.
LT, Lionel Taylor, man. He would nudge and just piss the defensive backs off, and piss Bud Carson, who was probably one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, and just piss him off. And I remember, I couldn't even believe it, that Bud got so mad one day, he and Lionel got into it. And actually, there was a couple do you remember that, Preston?
Oh, that was Super Bowl week, baby.
That was Super Bowl week. And so it was always, we were grinding against each other so the competition was extremely high to make the club, first of all. Preston was one of those guys that could run these routes, is so precise, and you think you've got him on the outside release, and he's just setting you up so we can go inside. And then once you get to the inside, down the field 10 yards, then you have to figure that he's going to go ahead and shake you and bake you and go ahead and take it in where I thought he was going to go out. So I had to get myself together fast if I was going to make this team. And I had to have some wins against Preston Denard. Okay, I'm just going to let you know that's the bottom line.
God, I love this stuff. I just eat this up.
Hey, I'll tell you another one. Let me tell you who. Preston, the receiver that we had. He passed away. Our brother that.
Billy Waddy.
Billy Waddy.
No, not Waddy.
Ron Smith.
No, it was the one that got traded to Buffalo in 1979.
Is that Drew Hill?
No. You're not talking about HJ, are you? Harold Jackson? Ron Jesse? Ron Jesse.
Ron Jesse.
Yeah.
Ron Jesse was one of those guys that during training camp, we had the one-on-one stuff, and Bud and LT were biting each other and just collided. And LT threw out a challenge. He said, Sully, get your butt up here, and Ron Jesse, get over there and get Sully. All right. He used choice words. Okay. I'm not going to repeat here, but Sully, get Ron Jesse, and Bud just whispered in my ear, "Hey man, just beat that guy up on the line. Don't worry about any technique. Just beat his ass up. Just whoop his ass."
Wow.
And I'll tell you, the first time, and Ron Jesse was an all-pro. I mean, let's get this straight. I'm a rookie that is just turned into a defensive back. And here we go. One-on-ones, and man, I got him. Once I got my hand on him, I just whooped his ass, and he didn't get past 5 yards. Okay,
wow.
So then what ended up happening was, went back. LT said, "Sully, get back out here. Jesse, get out here. Do it again. Do it again." And Bud just looked at me, and he said, "Just whoop his ass, Sully." And so I whooped his ass again. And Ron Jesse was traded to the Buffalo Bills that afternoon.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. He got traded, right? The reason he got traded is because I jacked him twice in one-on-one.
What?
Never forget that. That was like, wow, really?
My God. I mean, I got it as a fan. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, converted running back, playing a little bump and run. That didn't go over well. Ron is on the next train out of town.
That
That's
the morning
wild.
practice and the afternoon practice, he was on his way to Buffalo. And actually, we used to joke about that. Man, I'm gonna put you on the next train to Buffalo, just like that, you know. But
Wow.
it really was. This really did happen, and so Ron was a real inspiration for me, though, too. I mean, we would practice together during the off seasons, and they have this mouth, you know. Our receivers had that. Hey, Preston, you know
They
that, right,
do?
bro? Look at. You know what this is Ron Jesse a PD.
I had no idea wide receivers like to talk a little bit. They've got some personality.
I don't know what he's talking about.
But hey, but but everything that they do, they put the pressure on, and you got to succeed, and you got to have some wins at the end of the day. So anyway, I'm stopped. Okay, go ahead.
Well, Sully, you know, he's got tremendous stories. He remembers some real good details. But let's get into Ivory. Let's back this thing up. We want to know how you actually got involved in the sports. What age did you start playing football, and what other sports did you play as a youth? How did this thing get going for you?
You know, I'm going to tell you, I'm a little bit uncomfortable as it is, you know, having to talk about myself here for. I really, you know, I like try to humble myself, but I will tell you guys and give you guys the details, since that's the format of this show. I grew up in rural Maryland, where my father was a general practitioner. He was a doctor. Well, at the bottom line was he was a country doctor. He was one that we were out. He served the community that was very rural, very farm driven. And I will tell you, he served the African American community, because he was the only guy within 150 miles that was an African American doctor serving the African American, you know, population. And we learned a lot by that happening, and understood and started to understand what was really going on in the world back in those days. So this was in the early 60s. Which is, you know, my father, you know, he had an office at our house, and actually he would take in people at all times of the night. And you know, I, being curious, would wake up, and I would go and I would see what the heck the deal is, who's knocking at our door at 3 a.m. in the morning. And it was, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I mean, it was, you know, people that had been lynched during the night, and he came in, and I'm just going to give you guys the real, okay?
Please.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah.
This is what I grew up with, and so these are the reasons why I'm the man that I try to be, the man that my dad used to be, and you know, that he would care about his community so greatly, and we lived in a time that was very fraught with, you know, animosity towards race. Okay. And so in doing that, you know, we grew up with a big backyard. Okay. We had a big yard. We weren't allowed to go out and play sports and do anything based on the fact that things were like they were. And we were blessed to have a big space where we would invite our friends over to our house, and we would create these games. I mean, we would create baseball. I love the Baltimore Orioles. I just like Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson, Boog Powell. I don't know if you remember those guys' names.
Oh yeah,
those were my favorite. You know, I had Baltimore Orioles, the Baltimore Colts with Johnny Unitas, and you know, oh geez, forget about it. All the way down the list. We used to love Baltimore, because we were in Maryland. And so they were the closest professional sports franchises around. And I was just a total fan. And so we recreated these games. We didn't know how to play them. We just looked at the TV and kind of figured it out and translated that to the field that we have. That's how I started with my curiosity about playing sports. And I always wanted to know how to really play baseball, how to really play, you know, football. I didn't play any tennis or anything else like that. Forget about it. We just did what we had to do on our plot of land. Okay. And so that's how I started playing sports. Uneducated, sports. And so it was really fun, and with an appetite to learn more, an overwhelming appetite to learn more.
Let's kind of revisit a couple of things you mentioned there. So this was during a time where race relations was really charged. I think about this and I go, okay, there's athletics, there's competition in athletics, there's the spirit of competition and that grit to go after your opponent. And that's short-lived because the game's only 60 minutes or it's 12, whatever it is, 9 innings and so on. But the game of life, it just never ends. And that's very challenging. And the only release I feel is for any and everybody, if they're watching or us playing, is athletics and playing the game of football. That was a moment we could just, you had black, you had white, you had Hispanic, you had maybe Native. We had all kind of nationalities that are playing sports, and we were unified because we had a common bond. Life isn't like that. How tough did it get for you? Did you have any really hands-on experience outside of what you just shared with us?
I was just somebody that wanted to be able to play the sports, and this was all the way from when I was born until I was 10 years old, and we lived in Maryland, the rural Maryland, okay, and we just did what we did. We played, and we were we were fortunate, blessed to have folks that we had that understood what it was and what it would have to be like for us in the situation that we were in, and just enjoy our neighbors, invite our friends over, be a leader of this kind of crazy sports thing that we were trying to get acclimated to and actually play sport. And it was just, we did what we had to do. Then at age 10, we moved from Maryland, and it's because of my dad. My dad, he had a little bit of a heart condition. That job really stressed him out, quite frankly, literally.
Right.
And
right.
we had to make a change. We had to make a move. And from the early 60s, I moved in 1967. We moved to New Jersey, and in New Jersey they had organized sports, and we could actually go on these teams and go ahead and play these sports really with the real rules and with real coaches and with real players and having everybody come together. The thing that I will never forget, and what I'm blessed, what I feel and know that I'm blessed with, is the fact that I understood the interaction of kids and races and all that stuff at a very, very early age. As a matter of fact, was one of 4 kids, African-American kids, in an elementary school called Flower Street Elementary, Buckingham Elementary School. The rest were white. Everybody else was white. Mm-hmm. One of 4, and my brother and my sister were 2 of them. We were 3, and there was only one other kid, 4. And we grew up in an all-white circumstance, when segregation, was, when they were integrating into. I mean, we had a challenging time. Getting involved with sports was tough for us. It was difficult. It made us hungry. All of us were hungry. We bought all the gear. We did what we had to do. Had a glove, had a baseball, had a football. Never touched a basketball. Don't even know what that is.
Interesting.
And it was wild but the thing about it is that we learned a lesson early, and we learned, just like you said, you can play sports. You pull a Hispanic kid, an Indian kid, a black kid, a white kid. Everybody comes together for sports, and I learned the value of that at a very early age, and I just absolutely embraced it. Like, it was serious to me. It was serious business. Whereas with other kids, it wasn't. It was just, oh, okay, I'll just play ball. No, it wasn't that for me. It meant something to be able to go ahead and play sports when I got to New Jersey and stuff like that.
Wow.
But that's really where I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my mother and my father that showed us. I was lucky enough to have just great parents and great brothers and great sister. And we learned the lessons fast, and we learned that life is real. And and being in that surrounding where we're in a just integrated school, it was like, you were looking around and watching your back very carefully. Okay. And, we had the talk. All of us had the talk very early in our lives. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, right? And so my parents gave us the rules, and we actually ended up taking them on and taking them very seriously. But it really enhanced our experience by them giving us those rules, that we can actually handle ourselves in those situations and actually have fun. We had a great deal of fun. We really did. And I'll tell you, I'm just glad to be able to have done those things. So that's why I'm very passionate about any sport. I would go when I got to New Jersey, we would go from baseball to the next sport, to the next sport, to the next sport. I was an ice hockey a player. I played ice hockey. Wow. I played soccer. I played basketball. I did all of them, any sport that I could do, because I hadn't been exposed to that except for baseball and football. And in the country situation where we were living, I didn't have those experiences. I was enthralled. I was just over the top excited. You can tell it still lives in me.
Oh yeah,
that excite me, right? By the way, you can tell by the way I'm talking. This is what it.
A little bit.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. So I think first of all that the Lord put that in me, because he made sure that I was going to make the Rams. He made sure of that.
Okay.
And so, let me give you all this stuff back here. So when it's time for you to make the Rams, you go ahead and do that. And so it was just a blessing to be able to actually play team sports. And needless to say, I excelled. I was ready for it. I'd been my whole life, every day, for the opportunity to play those sports.
It's incredible. I mean, you were a highly decorated high school athlete. It's not often we see football player, all-century football team, track champion, and then somebody threw in tennis. What was this, just a hobby? I decided I'm going to be an all-state tennis champ too. Why not? I mean, how does that? That's got to be a first on this show.
Well, it's like I told you. It's like I said. Once baseball was over, what are you going to do during summer? Oh, let's play some tennis. So we had, where we were. I grew up in North Jersey, and we had a recreation center, and the recreation center was the launching pad, man. I'm telling you, for everything, I mean, I'm talking about, everything, tennis. I'm talking about being a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard at the pool. I was anything having to do with an athletic endeavor. I loved doing that. But I picked up a racket one day, and I had always watched tennis. And I was curious, so I wanted to know. It ended up happening, though, that I was pretty good at it, and I actually excelled at it. And in my sophomore year, I was fortunate enough to win, a state championship, a state sectional championship, and that was the end of the season. And I could have gone on and seen if I could go further, but I couldn't go further because it was on to the next sport. So I did that, and I was blessed. I was really blessed to have an opportunity to learn those things. But when I got into it, man, I was like a scientist, and I just took things apart. How do I do this? And I was just so curious to know, how do I really become efficient at doing this? I really want to know. So what ended up happening, I wasn't allowed to play. My parents wouldn't allow me to play football. That's the one sport that I was not allowed to play tackle football. I could play touch football, not tackle. They wouldn't allow me. My dad was a doctor. He knew wouldn't allow me football. Okay. Now, I've got all these other sports, tennis, wrestling, boom, 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 you name it, that I was pretty good at, but I couldn't play football. So guess what? I actually, I got drafted by the Phillies, for crying out loud, in my junior year, for crying out loud. I played summer ball. and there was a
Wow.
draft, and I got picked up by I got drafted by the Phillies. I never played baseball. I
Right.
probably, now that I look back at it, I probably would still be playing baseball if I was allowed to, instead of football, right, Brad?
Oh yeah.
That's
I mean,
the
that's
show.
the theme. That is the theme of the show.
Every player.
Right. So, but anyway, when I was allowed, when they my parents gave me permission to play football. It was the summer before my junior year, and my father was ill. He was in the hospital, and he had gallstones that he had to get taken out, and he was in the hospital. And so, in that weak moment, my best friend, I never, Mark Spiegel is his name. His mom called my mom and basically asked her if I could play football. That's how I played. That's how I
I
was
love
allowed
it.
to play, or else I wouldn't have been
I love
in
it.
football. Okay, and she said yes, and oh my God, it was on. It was on after that. It was on. I had tunnel vision at that point. So to do that, I had to run track, right, Press? I had to run track to make sure that I had speed. So that's why, I was very blessed. The 100, the 200, the mile relay, and the long jump. I won. We won the county, the league, and I won the state title. And I
Wow.
Very nice.
I ran. I didn't even go to the state meet. The state sectional meet. I just left it alone. I was on to the next sport, and so it was just a great time. It was so much excitement. Girls, what girls? I didn't have time for girls. I'll be honest. I didn't kiss a girl until I was a senior in high school because that's the
The
truth
man
of
was
the
winning
matter.
championships, people.
Yeah, yeah.
Let it be heard.
I was too busy winning championships. That's right.
The ladies will come. The ladies will come.
Love it. Love it.
I was focused, and people would call me a nerd, an athletic nerd, or whatever, and they'd wonder about what the heck is this guy doing, man. But
I
that's me.
love it.
Me. That was it. That's the truth.
Boy, how iconic is that? I mean, already you meet that criteria, that platform. How do you become a blue hen? How did that recruiting process go? What did they see in Ivory Sully?
Well, the kid, we were I was brought up in a small town called Leonia, New Jersey, and we only had 800 kids at our entire high school. Okay.
Whoa.
And so with that being the case, I mean, it was a very intimate type of a situation, and not a lot of scouts came to our school. Let's just put it to you that way, okay? And I was very fortunate to be able to play football for 2 years for Leonia High School. I had, I was known in the county, and known, to be a good player and stuff like that. The Delaware situation came because I went to a camp the summer before the summer before my senior year in high school, and it was Tubby Raymond, who was the proliferator of the wing T. The wing T was the pinnacle of offenses in my mind. I mean, I just saw these guys playing the national championship game the year before on television, and I couldn't even follow where the ball was. It was the magicians, it was like boom, boom, boom. And I said, I want to do that. And so I went to Tubby Raymond's camp that summer before my senior year. And I was, I played running back, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. And fortunately, Tubby fell in love with me. And so,
Love it.
Tubby actually, in those days, Delaware didn't give out scholarships, so I paid my own way to school, man.
Wow.
There was no big scholarship, anything like that. I decided to go to Delaware because it was a great academic institution. One of the reasons why I was going to go was because, my dad said, you have to go to college and get your education. So I did that. It was a great school for that. It was a great school for football. And I chose the one that I, thought was the best for that. And
Did you have other scholarships,
No,
Ivory?
no,
No.
nobody.
All those athletic acknowledgments, all those sports, and you just
Well,
went, I'm going to Delaware.
I'm telling you, it just happened like that. I mean, nobody came and
Fascinating.
nobody, no scouts or nothing. They didn't come to our high school. Again, I'm telling you, 800 kids total from
Yeah,
8th to
small.
12th grade, 8th to 12th.
Wow.
Not 9th to 12th, 8th to 12th. And so nobody really checked out Leonia. We were 5-4 2 years in a row. We weren't special.
Yeah.
But I was playing wide receiver. They didn't utilize me or know what I could do. So I just did my job at wide receiver, and then my senior year I moved to running back, and then that's when a couple of eyes were opened, and I was able to be seen by a few people. But I had to pay my own way. I didn't get drafted into the NFL, and I didn't get a scholarship in college. So there you go. The Lord put that in front of me and said, "Handle your business."
That is really impressive, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. Here, we got these visions dancing in our head that you had 400 scholarships to choose from. You just got focused and went in there. Incredible. We got to move into the Rams and your pro career in the interest of time. And I'm already baffled that you're playing all these sports. Then you're a receiver. Then you're a running back. Now the NFL comes knocking, or you came knocking on the NFL with the story at the outset, which is awesome. You end up switching from running back, that's news to me, and you're in a defensive backfield room at the NFL level with guys like Nolan Cromwell
Yep.
and Johnny Johnson, straight up big-time idols of mine. Not a secret on this show. Ivory, what was that room like? You're running back from Leonia, you're at Delaware, kablam, you're in Los Angeles. How did you adjust? You obviously are cerebral. Preston mentioned that.
Yeah. I was actually, my jaw dropped every day that I went into the room. Nolan Cromwell, Pat Thomas, Rod Perry. I don't know if you guys remember a guy named Dave Elmendorf, who was, top of as far as safety.
Stud.
And, we had guys, we had dudes, we had Eddie Brown, and we had guys that, oh man, it was just Dwayne Osteen. We had, I'm going through
Billy Simpson.
Right, Billy Simpson.
That's right.
Right, exactly. And so, the experience was in the room. It was just a matter of me going and asking and telling and asking for, they were very gracious to me. They helped me. I don't know if that happens everywhere where, they were secure in who they were, and they helped me learn what was going on and how to do it. It was just, I was a sponge. I was a sponge. Nothing left me. I would stay late in the room just to try to figure it out, how to watch film. I didn't know how to watch defensive film. I mean, it was like I sat and watched with these guys, and I learned. I just sat back and learned and try to just shut my mouth and just learn it, man, and then go take care of your business, And because of that, I wasn't in my rookie year. They kept me on the squad. They kept me. And I'll remember that they did not activate me, however. They didn't activate me for about, I think, 5 or 6 games. And then, then came the opportunity to play against the Minnesota Vikings. We had heard somebody got hurt. I forget who got hurt, but I got activated to come out. And I was just ready to utilize that knowledge that these guys had poured into me and do my job. That's all I had to do was do my job, do what you're asked to do. And I did. And that day I was on special teams, and the very first game that I played in against the Minnesota Vikings, I blocked the punt, and we scored a touchdown, and we beat the Vikings based on that play. I'll never forget it. It was like, wow, are you kidding me right now? This is crazy. But when you have yourself set to play at a level that you don't worry about anything else, just do what you know what to do and be where you're supposed to be. That is it. And when you do that and just take care of your business, you'll be amazed at what happens. And I'm just telling for all the kids out here, all the boys that are trying to play football and want to play football, just be ready and do your job. And I'm telling you, that's what. And look, Preston knows. I became known as that guy on special teams with block kicks. That was me, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
And I was just going to say that whole journey of special teams, your breakthrough, boy, you end up being a 5-time special teams player of the year for us. You ended up accomplishing so much. You were so much fun to watch because that's where the name Skull Buzz come from, because he would just jack you up. But you had a glorified time on special teams. You got a chance to move from there and play a lot more in the secondary. Was the special teams like almost you just let loose, it was free, compared to maybe being a safety and playing on a strategic play?
Yeah, man, absolutely, Press. At the end of the day, playing special teams is all about effort. You watch special teams nowadays, like today, it's not the same game. It's not the same game. I mean, we played in a very volatile time where actually, where certain hits were allowed, and it was a very violent game. And and special teams was the pinnacle of that. It just was. I mean, look, we used to, Preston, we used to put stuff out on guys that, been talking a little bit too much and, put them where they need to go, and we had a way to do that, right?
Are these expressions anything familiar?
Oh, really? For our YouTube audience, this is a must-see. Okay, literally, like you guys would hand signal 92 over there.
Okay, I'll give you.
Brutal.
So Billy Waddy, who I love Billy Waddy, right?
Me too.
Preston, I don't know what you were with it. I'm sure you were. We went to St. Louis to play.
Yes.
Do you remember a guy named Braerfield that he was a linebacker, and he was a fast linebacker, outside wide, and he was the the guy that went down and tackled guys. He hit Billy Waddy early. Billy's looking up, and Braerfield is goes right through his chin, knocks all of his teeth out. He's a bloody mess. He's done. And me and my friend Joe Harris, who was a teammate of ours, we decided that we had to go ahead and take care of some business. And all I will say is that the next punt, my friend Mr. Braerfield was taken out. Taken out. Let's just say that, okay?
So old school. So old school. I love it.
We took, and that's the way the game was played, though. That really was. I mean, you got to go. You play it hard, but boy, don't you cross that line. They've crossed the red line. So anyway, that's how. I don't know. I didn't know that I had it in me. I know I had the energy, but I didn't know I had it in me to really play at that high a level where, that's how the games used to be played. That's just the way it was.
Wow. Game has changed a lot. I mean, now they're all buddies and they're doing TikToks together, and look, I'm all for everybody being, friendly with each other. But you try to tell the younger generation the NFL isn't the same as it was in the 70s and 80s, and they, okay, old man.
That's right.
It was a different game.
Different game, 100%.
Interesting.
And man, and you know what? You never knew who you were running up against. You never knew. You had to watch guys. Don't. That's why we say we had to keep our head on the swivel. If you go ahead and don't keep your head on the swivel and look around you, boy, it'll be right. He'll be right in your ear. Just bam. It'll just happen that way.
And it's so much true, because I got to share this. My 21-year-old, when he first started playing football in the 8th grade, I'm one of his coaches, and I'm handling the special teams. He's on the kickoff team. He's going down the field at 13, his first time ever playing ball. He don't know what the heck's going on. He gets walloped from the side. He comes to the sideline, puts his head in my chest. He's sort of into, Daddy, hit me. I said, put your head on a swivel next time. The most famous phrase out there. Sully, I want to ask you this. Tell us a little bit. You know, sometimes we have teammates and we play together, and then sometimes we go away and we play against each other. And you and I had a wonderful conversation one time, certainly well after our days playing. And I asked you, tell me about what was it like to scout me? What was the scouting report all about playing Preston Denard? Can you tell the audience what you shared with me, what your defensive back had shared at Tampa Bay when you went to Tampa Bay to play?
Yeah.
And I remember the phrase, so.
No, you know what? Why don't you refresh my memory about the phrase?
Okay, so the phrase was, when I asked you that, he said, we had watched film, they were getting ready to play us, and he said, and you watch Denard with all those popcorn moves. You remember that?
Right. There you go. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, I don't know, a lot of stuff has come out of this mouth. I wanted to make sure that I was saying the right thing. Yeah, dude, Preston Denard. Let me tell you, man, he's a guy that just would make you mad. Okay, make you upset. Okay, Preston had good speed. He wasn't known to be a burner.
Right.
Oh my God, boy, he would make you look like a stupid fool. I mean, I'm telling you, that's what I was trying to tell you. That's how I made the team. I had to deal with those daggone popcorn moves all the daggone time, and I'm a straight line guy, right? Preston was all boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh my gosh, at least Willie Miller used to grunt when he was turned. I could tell Willie was going to break by himself. He was like, I'm not Preston, right?
You're right.
You would know Willie Miller was going to make a cut because he said, not Preston.
That's awesome.
Preston was silent, and he would just, and his body, he's got that long body. Man, one part of his body would go that way, another part of his body would go that way. That's popcorn. He puts you in the seats. Just ridiculous.
Love it.
Love Preston, man. You got ready to play Preston. You had
yeah,
to.
baby.
Did you ever have to pop him? You ever hit him? Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
you caught up to the popcorn. Okay.
Yeah. I think you guys asked the question. So, what was it like when you leave the team that you've been on? I mean, when I went to Tampa,
yeah,
and we played, the Rams, and really, had a chance to go do some stuff that year to go to the Super Bowl, but got to the NFC Championship game with John Robinson, I think. But the talk. Let's just say we had some elevated speak elevated. Okay?
Really?
It was, of course, elevated, a little bit elevated. I wasn't really one of the guys that go back and talk a lot. I really didn't. But, it was like when guys would come and start talking and chirping in my ear, I just looked to find out who it is, see the number, and put it back here. And said, okay, how you like? Okay, you'll see me again. I'll be back. All right. But that's the way the game was played. It's like you did it that way. It's like, you be careful about what you say, because what you say might get you in trouble. And Preston wasn't he wasn't that way, but I forget who it was that I think I got a good piece of a couple of times. I forget it, but yeah, I didn't do a lot of talking. I just didn't let my pads do the talking.
That's how I remember you. Very interesting to be teammates, friends, and then have to play against each other. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So we got a million questions. We want to take a few minutes to bring people up to speed on where you're at today, Ivory. You had, I don't know that a lot of people realize you go from multi-sport athlete to the NFL to running back, DB, special teams. Then you get a little bit of time in front of the camera, the TV and film career. Is this, is Denzel Washington worried? Like, what's going on with that, my friend?
Okay. Really?
We got a few seconds left here.
Yeah, really. 'Cause I didn't know all that.
I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I did. I signed a contract to do a little bit of modeling and and stuff and going to a couple of auditions and stuff like that. You know what though? I found, okay, it's not for me, man. I mean, I get looking at myself in the mirror. How's everybody else going to think about me, for crying out loud? It's like, I just, there are just some things that fit, and some things that kind of didn't. And while I did do some stuff, and it was kind of interesting how things happen. I couldn't stand watching myself on film on the
Interesting.
I just, it just wasn't me. I mean,
Yeah.
Really, you're going to look at this face? Are you kidding me? For an hour? For 2 hours?
Hey, wait a minute now. You had the striking 1980s good looks. We're going to unveil some of those photos around this episode. You had that late 80s, dancer type look going on. You come on now. You had it going on in those days.
Yeah. Well, Denzel was like, yeah. People would, who was it? I forget who it was. I don't know. That they would say, refer to me as Denzel or something like that. I said, I don't know where you got that from, but okay, whatever you say, that's fine. Whatever.
I love it. Well, what are you doing today? We know we're running out of time. We want to have time for the 2-minute drill with Preston. You've gotten involved really into some incredibly interesting business projects, some that have taken off, some that have not. There's probably a whole other show to learn lessons from some of those. But you've got into the licensing game. You also were part of the Major League Football project. What is Ivory Sully doing today for fans who are curious what you're up to?
Well, I am in the what you would call the intellectual property business.
Oh.
When I retired from football, it's difficult to transition out of something that is your absolute love, and that is being an athlete. And to be a professional athlete, what are you going to do to match that? Well, it's very difficult. I one day, really soon after I retired, looked in the closet. My mom was a seamstress, and she would make clothes and do stuff, and I was just really interested always in watching her. And I started thinking about it, and I said, the one thing, there's another thing. I love clothes. Clothes are great, and I learned that from my mom. So it's like, okay, maybe I should just get into the clothing business. So I went into the clothing business. I started by I had a partner that came with me, and we started making these we call balloon pants, elastic bottom, printed. You remember those?
Oh yeah, I do.
I still have a pair.
Look at you, okay? There
and
you
he
go.
didn't wear them to this show.
And
Well, listen, that's the thing.
X-rated.
Uh-oh.
I own millions of those stupid pants. Okay, let's just put it to you that way. So I found myself in the apparel game. Okay, so with the apparel game, I transitioned through the apparel game, and I went and got a license from the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum to make Negro League baseball gear and stuff, and I did, and I was successful with it. And I liked the interaction of taking a known entity and intellectual property and extending it or making it bigger by licensing it and becoming a licensee to create more products. This is what it's called a brand extension. So I got involved with that side of the business. I retired from actually being the maker of the product, and I moved into the intellectual property side and taking a brand and building it. And that was really exciting to me because I felt like I was helping more people to go ahead and get established. And I became very good at it. And I worked at companies such as Beverly Hills Polo Club, which is a multi-million dollar concern around the world. Pele Pele, I'm wearing Pele Pele.
Yeah.
Pele Pele is leather jackets and stuff like that, and a very well-known leather company. And I was head of international business, and it just started moving and rolling. And so that's what I do now. I take companies, and help to build them to be bigger than what they are by adding other other uh, different type, like I'll do bow ties for Pele Pele, or I'll do scarves for Pele
Oh,
Pele,
yeah.
or I'll do jeans for Pele Pele. Different categories of product to make you bigger than just leather jackets. Okay,
Wow.
Very interesting.
that's what I do.
Very interesting. I got to agree with Preston, and you're very cerebral. I mean, you're multi-talented, man. That's really interesting. Well, as always, we always have a million more things we'd love to talk to you about, and
Yeah.
it's true of every icon on this show. But it is time for the 2-minute drill with Preston Denard, and this is where you get to go up against him again. Try to go easy. And then there's no hitting. I don't want to see any head slaps or, you
I'm gonna
know.
fail at this one. This is Preston's room, man. I'm trying to
He's the man.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to stay above water this one.
Oh, you'll be able to stay above water. Well, it takes us right up to the minute where we entertain the 2-minute drill. And you know, this is built just for you. So it's going to test your quick wit, and we're going to find out some of your favorite identities in this 2-minute drill. Are you ready?
I'm ready, brother.
All right, here we go. First one is, and the clock starts, the referee blows the whistle. Turf or grass?
Grass. Penn State. Perfect.
Ah, love it, love it. All right, barbecue or seafood? Coming from the East Coast now.
Not even close. Barbecue.
Really? Oh,
Ah, so I probably would have said seafood, but oh,
I
that's
thought
okay.
he was going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here's a tough one, my friend. Bucks, Rams, or Lions?
You might think that to be tough, and that is tough. It has to be Rams. Rams
Okay.
Rams put it on the ground for me. Perfect.
There you go.
Love it.
There you go. Love it. Outstanding. Favorite movie?
Oh, that's easy. The Godfather. There's no doubt.
That's my boy. I love it.
Yes.
Oh, let me tell you how anal that is for me. When it came out and it was on VHS, I
Yeah.
took all 3 of those versions of the VHS and I edited it where it went chronologically. I did. And I gave it to someone who asked to watch it, never got it back.
Oh, my
All right.
God.
We're going to continue with the 2-minute drill because that was a quick timeout, so we can call the
That's
next player.
wild.
Yeah.
I was born in the New York. I mean, I grew up in the New York area, so I've seen it a lot of it. So go ahead.
There you go.
Corleone.
Corleone. There's so many scenes. It's just going through my
I
head.
know,
right now.
me too.
Okay. Your most underrated teammate at any level?
I'd have to say underrated because I thought this guy was just unbelievable. He's so natural. Leroy Irvin.
Yeah.
Leroy was an all-pro, still, but I don't think he got the respect that he should. He was so effortless. Leroy was just so gifted, man.
Oh, he was smooth.
He's been on this show. He's
Yeah.
a friend of the show, and he's been blowing me up all week, Preston, that he wants to talk to you. Subject for another time. Leroy is phenomenal choice.
Great.
Oh, outstanding. Okay, here we go. Your greatest football achievement?
Oh my gosh. Are you freaking kidding me? All right, so maybe, you know what? I'll tell you what. Actually, that's easy. Being named the special teams captain. A captain. When you go on the field with Jack Youngblood and you're a captain with the Rams, are you freaking kidding me right now?
Ooh.
I'm living a dream, bro. I mean, to do that with my brothers and that they would have enough trust and faith in me to be that captain. Oh, gosh, are you kidding me? That and being inducted into the Hall of Fame at Delaware. I think, those two, yeah.
Outstanding, outstanding. All right, here we go. The last few seconds of the 2-minute drill. And who plays Ivory Sully in a movie about your life?
Oh, man, come on. You know that. That's easy. Come on, Denzel. Denzel.
I knew it.
Denzel.
I'm going to have to try to get Denzel on this show. I don't
I
think he
know.
realized that.
He's winning in Atlanta. I keep expecting one of these athletes to say Idris Elba or,
Yeah.
somebody but Denzel's like classic greatness. I mean, okay.
That's pretty good. I'd like to be that, but I know I'll never get there. But classic greatness, that sounds great.
You're an icon, man. You're an
Yeah,
icon.
you are. Yeah. This has been just outstanding. Ivory, I want to thank you. We tried to kick this thing off a date before, but boy, this turned out to be sweet. I really appreciate all the great stories. Stacy and I have been waiting on this, and man, just God bless you. And you know, there's room for more questions for us another time. Seems like we're going to have a repeat second half of the year kind of show with people. But thank you so much for joining us.
Listen, to be asked to be doing this is really an honor, and I am incredibly humbled that I'd be able to. That you guys are interested in me, for crying out loud. Are you kidding me? I'm just from Leonia High School. I'm nobody special.
No.
But
Right,
I feel
right.
special now. I feel special now.
Well, you are special, and you're, as a guy who was a fan and not your teammate on the other side of this camera. I remember you like yesterday. I watched you like crazy. I had teased it. I just want to say it in closing. It's really interesting that you pick Leroy Irvin. He's been blowing me up all week after seeing Preston and I with one of your teammates, Reggie Doss.
Yes.
And he's like, "What's going on, Preston?" I'm getting DMs and Instagram and everything from Leroy. So I'm going to really clip that piece there and share that with him. And look out, he's probably going to be coming for you.
We'll probably have to bring Leroy back on together.
We do. We have to.
We got to do it.
Yeah, let's do it together. Yeah.
You guys are doing great things. God bless you, man.
Well, thank you, Ivory. And thanks to all those folks that have listened to us this week. Another iconic visit with the great Ivory Sully. For Preston Denard and myself, please do follow along on YouTube and all the major podcast hosts. Until next week, be well. And thanks again for listening to This Week on Gridiron Icon with the great Ivory Sully. We'll see you soon.